Okay, I call the meeting to order. Good morning, everyone. I will begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. The panel today, to my left is Jeff Pesch. To my far left is Gisela Rempel, and I'm Robert Buss, Chair. And the assessor today is Victoria O, and our recording secretary is Huda Aziz. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be a part of the public record. And we will begin with item number 4 on the docket, 234 Wellington Crescent. Mr. Marvin? Yes. If you'd like to take a seat up here.
Sure.
Thanks.
Would you like to swear in or affirm? Affirm, please. Please state your full name. And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you. Please stand. Would you like to swear in or affirm?
Swear.
Okay. Place your hand on the Bible. Please state your full name.
Luke Marvin.
And you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Aye.
Thank you. And you have evidence you'd like to share with the panel? Yeah. 5 copies there?
6.
Perfect. Yes, one is for you.
Thank you. Okay. The procedure is that you do the first. If you could just wait a moment, we'll go through.
Sure.
It's just going to take a minute, and then we'll do yours. Sorry about that.
No problem.
You have to swear in? Please state your full name.
That's the
And you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Morning. Perhaps you could read the roll number in and the address and.
Yep. Parcel ID is 12097510100. Street address is 1 Wellington Crescent, 1100. We have the 2020 assessment roll at 1.6 million. The assessment value has been accepted by Les Sistowski on behalf of the property owner. The email is attached.
And what was the value? What is the new value?
The current previous 1.6 million.
1.6, and you're offering to reduce it to,
It's remaining at 1.6.
it's remaining at 1.6. And you're satisfied with this?
Yes.
Very good. Next one is Unit 700,
Yep.
I believe.
Parcel ID is 12097509700. 1 Wellington Crescent, Unit 700. The 2020 assessment is 1.23 million. Recommendation to reduce the 2020 assessment to 1.18 million to better reflect the April 1st, 2018 market value.
Hold on here a second, please.
First one is item 5.
I have my stuff mixed up here. Okay, this is the, pardon me. So this number 1100, we're accepting at 1.6. Now we're doing number 700. And, sorry, go ahead.
Yep. The 2020 assessment roll was 1.23 million. Recommendation to reduce it to 1.18 million.
1.18. Very good. And Mr. Sikowski?
I accept.
May I
Thank you.
ask a question?
Yes, you may.
I am wondering what the rationale is for the reduction in the 2020 assessment.
So we were looking at sales within the condo complex. Sales were very limited within the condo complex, and this is part of the bulk agreement for for these properties as we were reviewing together.
So because there were few sales in this condo complex, that's the reason this was reduced?
And on top of that, looking at sales from, looking at Unit 600 and 900, it was fair that there is some ability to move with the reduction.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cash, any questions? I have no questions either, so we can go on to Unit 300.
Unit 300, parcel ID is 12097509300. Unit 300, the 2020 assessment roll is 1,195,000. We have a recommendation to reduce for the 2020 assessment to 1.1 million.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sikowski?
I agree.
Agree with that. Any questions on that? No?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Okay, we will go on to file 194280, which is Unit 1000.
Oh, sorry.
Ready?
Sorry. Parcel ID is 12097510000. Unit 1000. The 2020 assessment roll is 1.15 million. The value is confirmed and agreed upon by Satowski.
I agree.
Any questions? Okay, and Unit 500, file 194272.
Okay. Parcel ID is 12097509500. 500. The assessment, the 2020 assessment is 1,090,000, and the value is to be confirmed.
I agree with that as well.
Any questions from the panel? No? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. please. And we'll assume that the sworn oath is still in place.
Yes.
Okay, we will begin with item number 4 on the docket. Pardon me. Yes, item number 4 on the docket, 234 Wellington Crescent, Unit 6.
Okay. Parcel ID is 12097806410. This is 234 Wellington Crescent, Unit 6. This is part of a 4-story garden-style condo or garden-style apartment. Built in 2017, this has 2 floors. It's 1,300 square feet. It has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, central air conditioning, and it has an access to a rooftop patio, I understand. The 2020 assessment roll is $390,000. The total assessment per square feet is $300. We have a registered sale of $39,000. I have 3 comparables. Just to let you know, understand, this condo complex is 7 very unique units. So each one has very different floor plans, different square footages, and they also have different furnishings according to what the homeowner purchases when they were buying into the condo complex to customize to finish it to what they wanted. So this is a fairly difficult condo to value. So anyways, condo. So we're looking at. So these are all sales within the condo complex, all built in 2017, either on 1 floor or 2 floors. This total living areas ranges between 1,300 square feet to 1,622 square feet, either 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, 2 full baths, central air conditioning, and I believe that the rooftop patio is in common, so everybody have access to that. And they have covered parking. These are all first-time sales. All I understand, most likely pre-construction, and they all have separate entrances. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. If you have any questions of the assessor on the information that she's presented, now you can welcome to ask.
No questions. I might say that the separate entrances is only on the first floor.
Okay.
And my other evidence was that we don't actually have 3 bedrooms. The one wall was never built. So it's, and the other thing...
Well, you will have a chance to present your evidence.
I will
This is question period now, so...
No questions.
Okay, we'll see if the panel... Mr. Pesh, any questions of the assessor?
You note you have 3 comps. I'm seeing 2 comps here.
Oh, sorry.
Is there a 3rd comp?
Comparable 3 is actually the subject sale.
Yes.
Yes.
I see 2 comps. You noted 3.
Yeah.
Did you have another comp that you haven't presented here?
No, I do not, sorry.
Have you been through the property?
I was not. I did an exterior inspection when I was doing inspections of other condos on Wellington Crescent.
Okay. Any other questions right now?
Ms. Rempel, questions?
I'm wondering when the sale occurred. When in 2017 did the sale occur?
March 2017, that's when it was registered.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Is this the building on the corner I see from the map? It's got kind of wood siding on it? Fine, that's okay. There's room for everybody to park. Did you say they park indoors or outdoors? Covered parking?
It is, there is a underground parking.
Okay. That's all my questions. If you would like to tell us about present your evidence, tell us about the property.
Yeah, well, my main thing was that I don't know, so I'm listed as having 3 bedrooms, and the upstairs is a mezzanine with no door, and what was supposed to be 2 bedrooms is actually constructed as just 1. So my understanding is I might only be able to legally list it as a 1-bedroom because the mezzanine isn't like a real bedroom. So that was my main takeaway, was that comparable to, for example, is lower and has larger square feet. So that was my main thing, was that I don't know that we could sell it for what it's being assessed at. And on the back side there, this is just things I could find listed on the block presently, and they're all much lower.
These are units listed for sale right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So these buildings are older, but they all will have an elevator and similar parking and things like that. We don't have an elevator.
Okay. Number 1, these are only listings, and number 2, they're what we call post-reference. They're after the date of April 1st,
Gotcha.
2018.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
what about your pictures here?
Oh yeah, that's just showing that what was to be 2 bedrooms is just 1 bedroom with 2 doors. And the mechanical engineer and installer only put HVAC by the 1 window. So even if we were to build a second room, there would need to be a lot of mechanical to run ducting and stuff like that. And the bottom picture is just the bedroom in the mezzanine, showing that it's not private, and therefore, as I understand, I might not be able to list it as like a technical bedroom.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll see if there's any questions. If there's,
No, yeah, that's it for me, really.
No questions at this time, thank you.
Roughly how many square feet is the mezzanine area you described?
Don't know that off the top of my head. It's maybe, if I'm allowed to say, maybe like 40 years.
Presently being used as a bedroom.
Yes.
And as far as you know, when you look at the assessor's comparables that she's provided, would these individuals have the same amenities as you do in terms of parking and access to green spaces, etc.?
Yeah. Everyone can get to the roof. We have a door straight from our unit, but that's because it's our second fire exit.
I see.
Because we have to get out onto the roof around to the other stairwell.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Ms. Rample?
Yes, I'm wondering, do you have a main floor entry? You say you have no elevator, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure how you get in.
Yeah, there's a main floor entry and a stairwell.
Okay. And can you tell me when these pictures were taken?
This, one was this morning and one was yesterday.
And did I hear correctly that you had purchased this condo prior to it actually being built?
Yeah, it was kind of a unique situation. The architect got the buyers together. We formed our own corporation, bought the land, and then the architect designed it based on how many square feet each person needed.
So were you involved in the design of your condo?
Yes.
So you decided that you were going to have this mezzanine area as opposed to having a bedroom on the mezzanine?
Well, yeah.
Because I see that for Comp 1, for example, it is larger than yours, but it only has 2 bedrooms. So I'm assuming that they were involved in the design of theirs
Yes.
as you were involved in the design of yours.
Yeah, so theirs is on the main floor, is all 1 floor.
Okay.
And so they have, yes. So ours has kind of an open, it's kind of a lofty, like a loft bedroom.
Okay. And you purchased this in 2017. Do you recall what your assessment for 2018 was?
It was $390. I believe it was the purchase price.
If you don't
Yeah.
recall, we can look it up, but I just thought if you knew off the top of your head. Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So, you were saying you guys got together beforehand, so there should be 6 sales. How many units are in the building? 6?
There's 7 units.
7? Because the assessor
Well,
only...
some of them are like 700 square feet. They range in size, so they might not be directly comparable.
Okay,
The building was kind of Tetris together.
and you had customized your suite to be your way. What floor are you on?
We're on the 3rd floor.
And there's no elevator, you walk up.
Yes. It's difficult with groceries.
Or when you're moving in or out. So is there a 4th floor? Or
No, the 4th, like the roof and our mezzanine, our mezzanine is the same level as the roof.
Oh, okay. I'd like to ask the assessor a question. Do you have this other sales from the building?
Do
Is it
not
like
at
the-
this time, but
Is it, as the applicant was saying,
they're all varying sizes, they're all varying shapes. As I stated earlier, they all have their own finishings too, and that was apparently reflected in the purchase price.
Okay. Okay, that's all my questions. Anything you'd like to say in summation? Ms. Ho?
Based off of the purchase price of the condominium of the subject, I think the 2020 assessment at $390,000 should be supported.
Thank you. Any final words?
No, just that my understanding of valuation of having bedrooms as specific points of value would lead me to hope for a reduced value.
Okay, I'll leave it with us, and you will receive a registered letter, I believe, from the Board of Revision.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for allowing me to reschedule. This was originally not going to be today.
Okay. Thank you for coming. Mr. Story, you'd like to...
Please state your full name.
Jared Story.
And you swear the evidence you're representing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we will begin with item number 10, 229 Wellington Crescent, 7D.
Okay. Parcel ID is 12097683000. Street address is 229 Wellington Crescent, 7D. This is a part of a 10-story apartment complex. There are 52 units, built in 2009. This is on one floor. It is 1,755 square feet. It has 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, central air conditioning, has a balcony. The 2020 assessment is $597,000. 4 comparables here today, all within the same condo complex. Built in 2009, the square footage range between 1,455 square feet to 1,645 square feet. All 2 bedrooms, all have 2 bathrooms, all have central air conditioning, all have balconies. Sale prices range between $520,000 to $635,000. Thank you very much.
Thank you. do you have any questions of the
Yes.
assessor?
Thank you. Have you been inside this unit?
I was not able to come inside to this unit. We had arrangement with Alina to do the inspection.
I was there for a while, so that's fine. So, based on your review of the photos and then looking at the sales, would you say that the finishings in this unit are comparable, superior, or inferior to the comps that you're using here today?
I believe that the finishings for based off of the comparables is comparable to the subject. Maybe comparable one might be a little bit more superior, but these are also facing all these units do face the river, this and Wind River. However, note that comparable 3 has the more inferior view as it lines up more directly towards the adjacent apartment building.
Comp number 1 is the penthouse, is that correct?
Actually, there are 2 levels of penthouse. This is there's 10 stories, so there's penthouse 10D, and then there's penthouse 9D.
So this is a penthouse.
Yes.
Okay. And penthouses are generally of higher quality than the other regular units in the building, is that safe to say?
In most cases, yes.
Okay. Now, in looking at this property and looking at the sales, what can you tell me about the parking that was included in each of your comps?
I didn't bring that up with me. I'm sorry.
Are you aware of any, here's what I'm getting at it. The standard unit comes with 1 parking stall.
Okay.
Now, some of these have an extra parking stall. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay, so then you're not aware of each additional stall. I've seen this a number of times, they sell them for $30,000 extra for a second parking stall.
Okay.
So would that affect these sale prices? Would that be distorting your model upwards, do you suppose? If there's an extra stall involved, it's an extra $30,000. For the sake of assessment, you can consider that a chattel, right? That's an additional good that's coming with the sale.
I do believe that parking is considered a common element depending on how the condo complex is, how the condo declaration is set up. So,
Okay, fair enough. And then I guess my last question: you're aware that there was sort of in the newspapers, public, there was a lawsuit from the owners against the developer based on a.
I was not made aware of that, and you did not provide me that information at the time.
I just Googled it. I looked up the address. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. See, Ms. Rempel, any questions?
Yes, I noticed that in the subject sale data, you say that this was sold in 2009 for $616,284.
This was, I believe, the first time sale of the condo complex, and that was what was registered at land titles. This may or may not include the GST.
Okay, but in terms of this sale, is it the current owner?
Yes.
Okay, that's all my questions, thank you.
I have no questions. If, as Mr. Story was mentioning about an extra parking stall, would that be mentioned on the title or something like that in the sale?
It really depends on how the condo deck is set up. Some condominium declarations will actually stipulate the parking unit assigned. So in some cases, it's actually controlled or arranged by the condominium board. Or in some cases, they just rent the parking stall. It really depends. Some condo complexes even have titled parking stalls. So.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, may I ask one more question?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
Can you tell me, were there any previous appeals on this condo?
On this condo, not that I know of.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I missed the part at the beginning when you were asked if you inspected the property.
I did not do the inspection of this property. Mr. Story arranged with a coworker of mine to do the inspection. However, at that time, I was unavailable. I was at another hearing.
Have you been in the building or in any of the other suites in the building?
No. I believe I was in this building before for another inspection.
That's all my questions. Mr. Story, if you'd like to...
Excuse me, and I have my own comps here if you'd like to.
Okay.
We actually agree on a little bit of, if you want to cross-reference the assessor's comps with mine, that would work.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so this is, it's called Edgewater. This is 229 Wellington. Very nice new building built in 2009, and we're looking today at Unit 7D. Now, what I will suggest is that there's a, in looking at the sales in the building, there is a range. So I've approached it on this basis. Now, I've been in the unit, and I've seen the photos from MLS of some of the sales. I would suggest that there are some sales in this table that would be distorted. They were prepped for sale. They were prepped for the top end of the market, and they also include about $30,000 sold. So what I've done is I've taken what I think are the most appropriate sales. I've removed the extra stall because that's not an appropriate piece to be using to develop a rate. And so, in general, I've come to a rate of $300 to $325 per square foot, which would indicate $526,500 on the low end, $570,375 on the high end. Now, as the assessor has rightly pointed out, this unit has very nice views. It's a nice unit, but the range that I'm coming up with, once we adjust for those extra stalls, I will suggest a value of $570,000. We're currently sitting at $594, I believe, or $597. So we're not asking for a huge reduction, but we are just asking that this is brought into line with what we believe the market is for this unit. So again, I would request a value of $570,000, please.
Okay. Let's see if there's any questions.
Comparable 3. Is this unit 2F?
I believe it is, yes, sorry, I should have that on there.
Are you aware that comparable 3 that you use as your best comp is actually facing Wellington Crescent itself, and it's right over the garage door, which is the entrance for all the for the underground parkade?
Okay, so that would explain why but it's outside of our range. So it looked like the best comp here was finishing. I was not aware of its orientation in the building, but if you say so, I believe it. But I can also tell you it was listed for $439 and sold for $420, and that's a number of these have sold below list, so that's indicative too. But I'm not suggesting that this subject should be assessed at $266 a square foot. Again, I'm accounting for the location and saying that $325 is the top end of my range, and I think that's appropriate.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little confused in regards to comparable 1. Is comparable 1 penthouse 9D?
No, I wouldn't use a penthouse in this.
Because I'm trying to look at the sales for this. I'm trying to find which sale this one is.
Yeah.
And that's 1645.
I don't think it's, maybe it is. You know what, because these are all the sales, right? So I think we're using basically the same comps.
But at the same time, the sale price is 605, and I have it registered for 635.
Right, and that's because I took the extra stall out. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
MLS, right?
I'm sorry.
Now, I would suggest too that you said the typically, or maybe sometimes the penthouse is nicer. I would suggest that the penthouse is always the.
No. Sorry, I was just trying to correlate which comparables you were using. I'm sorry.
Not a problem. But if we're looking at that range, and that's interesting that you bring that up. So we're looking between 266 and 368. You're saying that this is comp 3 is inferior based on location, and we're suggesting, I think we're agreeing now that the penthouse would be the top unit, so that my range of $300 a square foot to $325 seems reasonable. I'm not suggesting that it ought to skew low, which is the higher end of that. So again, I'm simply asking for $570,000 on the assessment, and it looks to be supported by these comps. So.
Thank you. No more questions.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll see if the panel has any questions. Mr. Pesh?
I do. Just to clarify your comps, do you have the address for comp 1, 2, and 4?
Sorry, so that is PH9D is comp 1. So these do tie in with the assessors. So 550, 580 is. Excuse me. I guess my comp 2. So it's just a speed error on my part. Is on 5420. Comp 4 would be 3E. 420.50. And I can't. I'm sorry, I don't have it for comp 3. But these are the most recent sales in the building that I've opened up all this.
And sorry, comp 2 was?
Comp 2. One that sold for 550. Oh, right. And that's, it should be, I think that is 8C229, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, sorry, I should have brought the addresses. That's my.
8C229. So we have the same 3 comps.
Yes.
And can you just walk me through your calculation? You've netted out the parking stall in comp 1 and comp 2?
In 1, 2, and 3, yes.
1, 2, and 3?
Yes. So in the listings that I've seen from the MLS, as well as other old listings that I've seen, the rate of $30,000 per stall is consistent. That doesn't change. And that's for an extra stall. Now, each unit comes with 1 stall. But if you're buying the extra stall and that's part of the purchase price, then that should be subtracted. That's not what we have here.
And do we know that to be the arrangement with comps 1 and 2?
Yes, yeah. That's all from the MLS. That is.
And subject property has 1 stall. And are you able to speak to the finish in subject property? Is it comparable to comp 1 and 2?
No, I would say that it is. I mean, it's a new building. It's from 2009, so it's all reasonably new. So on some level, I'm kind of looking at decorating and sort of individual touches more than any sort of renos. Like I haven't seen many renos. Although I have seen the units that would have been prepped for sale. From what I saw, I would say that the quality of finish would be superior. That's what I would say. Maybe more modern. This is more. It's more homey. It's not a modern kind of downtown condo.
Okay. No questions.
Okay. Ms. Ripple?
Do you have the MLS listings that
No, I didn't bring
indicate?
them. No, I don't have them.
Which way do these comps face?
That's a good question. I would suggest, well, the comp 3 is facing the street, and I believe comps 1, 2, and 4 are facing the river. I believe.
So just to clarify, comp 4, you said it was 3E, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
That's what he
I
said.
think it is, yeah.
That faces actually more adjacent towards the other condo complex right next to it.
But it has a view of the river.
But it's more inferior to the subject, and C actually faces directly to the river.
What is the nature of this lawsuit?
I just read about it. Apparently there was some issue with $1 million worth of leaky concrete in the parkade. That's what I read about. I don't know if it was resolved. I didn't see a follow-up story. I actually I was getting coffee this morning. The was Googling the property just to see if there's anything else I could learn about it. And it was interesting because a new condo generally doesn't have a reserve assessment for 15 years. Is that how they generally do it? They don't assess what the structural reserve ought to be. That's part of the Condo Act of 2011. But now, because it's a new condo and they have this law, so now they're obviously they didn't have enough time to build up a structural reserve fund to cover this issue. But I didn't see a follow-up. I don't know if that was resolved, but the last day left, from what I can tell, the owners were potentially on the hook for the repairs. So now, I have to think about that when it comes to the market. If I'm thinking about buying a condo and I Google this place, that would give me some pause.
But you don't have copies of that
I saw it this
information?
morning. No, it's in the public record. It's in the request.
Okay. Can you tell me, I see that the subject property was sold in 2009 for over $600,000, but the assessment is $597,000? Do you know anything about that? Why the assessment would be lower than the sale price?
Well, that may have been that could be a pre-construction sale. I'm not sure. I know that it was built in 09, so I don't know. Sometimes these units sell for more right out of the gate. That could be. I don't know if it was bought from purchased from a rendering or a concept design, or if it was built, or if it was purchased once the unit was actually built. But I would say to you that given what we know now and what I've mentioned about this leaky parkade issue, I would suggest that the purchaser would probably adjust that downwards, for the benefit of knowing what we know 5 years later.
Do you know anything about the condo fund and if they have a reserve? And
I generally, you develop a structural reserve through your condo fees over a number of years, and it's supposed to be 2% of the assessed value, or whatever the case may be. No, I don't know. I would suggest, though, if there's for a building like this, very high quality finishes, and now it has an issue, that the condo fees would generally be matched, would be higher than expected. And that also sort of factors into people's decision-making process when they're looking at condos. So all those things taken into account, I think that the slight reduction is reasonable.
thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. That lawsuit, did you happen to notice the dates on it or anything?
13.
13.
Yeah, and I haven't seen any follow-up since I did look, so I don't know if that's ongoing or if that's been resolved. I don't know.
Because I remember reading about that, say years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't know the
I don't know
state.
the outcome, don't know the statement, but
The question of the extra stalls, you're saying on the MLS it stated that there was extra stalls?
An extra stall.
Did it, how did you come up with the $30,000?
That's what because the one that didn't sell an extra stall said extra stalls available for $30,000.
I see.
And that was not one, that was over across multiple listings. So it seems like that's sort of an acceptable rate for an extra stall in that building.
So do you get title to it then if you pay the $30,000? Or the one that comes with your unit, is it on your title a certain?
That's interesting. I don't know.
And then when you pay $30,000, you get another title?
I'm not sure. I don't know what the arrangement is. That would be, that condo board would have some mechanism to tie it all up together. But I'm not sure what sort of instrument they're using to do it.
Do you know anything about the condo market since I think it's the same question as Giselle asked, whether have condos gone up in value generally in the city or gone down since 2009?
That's a good question. I would suggest that there are probably a lot of condos on the market. Now this is a different product though, so we have to be careful not to mix apples and oranges. This is a luxury product. And there's one Wellington down the street. There's about maybe 5 or 6 in the city that are like this. I know there's one 59 Tuxedo that's coming up. So there's, in terms of luxury condos, have they gone up or down? It's hard to say. There's not a lot of sales. I know in older, now these, and again, these are new too, older condos I would suggest are probably depreciating. I've seen huge depreciation in older suburban condos built prior to the Condominium Act, so prior to 2011. I would suggest that those are likely decreasing. But there's also a population shift where we are seeing more people, empty nesters moving into condos. So there's a lot of product on the market. I don't know that it's necessarily comparable with luxury condos. So are they going up or down? They're probably stable. They might be trending downward. That's not based on analysis. That's just my sense of the market.
That's good, thank you. Maybe I could ask the assessor quickly, you know, the overall condo market in the city since around 2009 or 10 when the sale took place?
As Mr. Story has stated, it really depends on the type of market that you're looking at. So lower end condo market or one bedroom, one bathroom type of suites or bachelors, we have an over inventory of, and those have been indicating and showing that they've been going towards a downward trend. However, this is a upper market.
Yeah.
So we are trying to stay within the condo complex to find out the indicated value.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Any summation?
Yes, please. So, based off of my four comparables, looking at the finishing of, I believe that the finishings for these condo comparables are quite similar to the subject. Even with or without the extra stall, if you look at comparable 3, which has the interior view at a price per square foot, it still supports the 2020 assessment at $340,000. The $597,000, but at the price per square, as total assessment per square foot at $340 per square foot. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, just in summation, do you think it's inappropriate to not remove those extra parking stalls? That's not part of the real estate product. And I think that's, again, we're asking for $570,000 based on a range of $300 to $325 a square foot. I think that's reasonable. That's all I have to say. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that will conclude item number 10, and we will move on to item number 11. 160 Tuxedo Avenue, Unit 1501.
I have a preliminary issue to bring up to the board. The department has sent registered mail, and it was dated for November 25th, 2019, requesting for an inspection of the subject property. The last reassessment cycle, we had requested an inspection. As you can see, and near the end, I submitted that we sent out a letter requesting for the inspection, and there's also a sign off of the letter from received. Mr. Stewart had disclosed on December 17th that he was not able to arrange for the inspection due to.
Sorry, what was that?
Mr. Story disclosed that he was not able to arrange for the inspection of the unit on December 17th, which was the last day that we were able to arrange for it, that the homeowner was away for vacation. I'm requesting for 53-3, a shift of burden of proof of non-cooperation.
Okay, Mr. Story.
Yeah, okay, just so we're very clear, there were originally 4 properties on this docket, and I arranged for inspections of 3 of them. So there was no failure to comply on my part. There's a scheduling issue. You weren't available. You sent a field officer. You weren't available either. So to suggest that the owner or me as the agent has not complied with the city's request is that's an error. We'd be happy to go through the property. It's just we're in during the holidays. We're in the middle of appeal season, and I think that it's as evidenced by the fact that I was able to tour 3 of the 4 properties on this docket, I think that I did comply with the request. So I think that that's, I don't think that what has happened here constitutes a failure in any way. So
We have requested it back in November 25th, 2019, and we also had requested it on the last reassessment cycle for this
Well, it was
particular.
the last reassessment cycle, but I know that when the city sends, so you sent me a request to see 4 different properties, and I got that together with the owners, with the owners' agents, with you, with your field assistant. I did put that together in a reasonable amount of time. So the fact that this owner was unavailable to allow you into their home in this date range, I think that's inappropriate. We're more than happy to allow the city to do an inspection, but we have to be reasonable, and we have to understand that there's a lot of scheduling that's happening here. So.
Okay, we've heard both sides. We'll see if there's any questions from the panel on Ms. Reppel. Any
Yes,
questions?
I'm wondering when you received this notification of this registered mail.
Well, so the way this works is it goes to our front desk, and then this letter then goes to the what we call the project principal in our office, so the main client lead, and then I'm considered the agent person. So it has to go through 3 people. So when it hit my desk, I'm not sure, but I do see that our admin person did sign for it on. It says 11/27. So is that November 27th?
November 27th.
So November 27th it was delivered. Sometime I would say maybe in 10 days it hit my desk. And I started sending out messages to the 4 different properties to put them together. You had a scheduling issue. I had to, it's a little bit difficult to
Yeah,
put all these things together. So. And I did get 3 out of the 4, so I don't think this constitutes a failure or non-compliance. If someone's out of town, what can we do?
Yeah, okay. Any other questions?
I don't have any questions around this.
Is there a special issue about the condition of the, anything that's,
That was the reason why I wanted to have an inspection, just to actually see what the unit was like in comparison to what the other units were selling within the condo complex. It is an older condo complex. It's built in 1984. Some of them have been bought and have been renovated.
okay, perhaps we'll take a short break and we will discuss. Thank you. We'll call the meeting back to order. The panel has decided that we will reject your application for change of onus, and if you would please proceed.
Yep. Okay, so parcel ID is 10003389900. Street address is 160 Tuxedo Avenue, unit 1501. This is part of 15-story apartment building. There are 54 units. The building is built in 1984. We have an effective age of 2004, so to reflect that there have been renovations. It is on 1 floor. It's 2,000 square feet. It has 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, central air conditioning, a balcony or sunroom, and the 2020 assessment roll is $512,000. 2008, it sold for $504,000. We have submitted the old permit for renovations, electrical permit for renovations. If you look at the one on the back of permit 08118415, it describes reno a suite, new lighting being installed, and new switches, lowered ceiling, and added bulkheads. Now recessed fixture and wiring, and new wiring, and wiring into existing walls. Additional plugs and being added for audio and visual in the sunroom and 2-bedroom. This was done after its purchase, and I believe that was probably some extensive work. Now, back in 2008, I have provided 3 comparables for you today. They are all built in, it's all in the same condo complex, in the same building. Comparable 1 and 2 are dated and original units. The size range between 2,000 square feet to 2,800 square feet. There are 2 bedrooms, 2 to 3 bathrooms. All have air conditioning. All have either a balcony or a sunroom. Again, as stated, comparable 1 and 2 are dated sales. They were also estate sales. Comparable 3 provided is a renovated sale. The original sale back in 2014 was in August as a dated estate for $435,000. And also comparable 2 has post-reference completely renovated for significantly higher than comparable 3. And thank you very much.
You're saying that comp 2 is sold post-reference?
Comparable 2 has sold as an estate sale in October 2017, dated, and it had been further, after it was purchased, it was renovated, and then post-reference had sale that sold significantly higher. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Chair?
Just a couple things. All right, so now I'm seeing the work permit that you have here, but so is the city suggesting that because they changed the light fixtures, the switches, and put in a drop ceiling, that they've effectively extended the effective age of the useful life of this property by 20 years?
That's why I wanted to see the interior of this condo, this condominium unit in particular, just to make sure that what we have on record was correct. I thought that maybe the effective age might be a little high, so I just wanted to see what it was like.
Because this one, I mean, comp 3 has a full rent. I mean, I would suggest that's not an appropriate comp. These don't send.
However, I'm trying to illustrate that these are units that are also on the 12th story and up, which are more superior units. And on top of that, they are the comp 1 and comp 2 are dated and original to the condo complex.
My aunt lives next door to these things, and in an older building as well. Now, would you suggest that the value for these older properties, condos in the 80s, that's a very early part of condominium development, would you agree? Most condos were built in the aughts, right? 2007 to 2011 is kind of that big condo.
There's a lot of condos that have been built in 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. There was also condo conversions where the buildings have been built prior to the condominium.
Okay, so just to get back to my question, would you agree that this is an early condo building in the city of Winnipeg?
Like the building?
That's an early.
There's a lot of buildings that are older than 1984.
Now, yes, there are a lot of buildings that are older than 1984, but I'm suggesting that condominiums were not common in Winnipeg in the early 1980s. That's all I'm saying. And I want to follow that by asking, do you think that these older condo buildings are appreciating in value, or do you think that the market is seeing these as more of a risk and therefore adjusting their purchase prices down over time?
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, do you see a downward trend in terms of the value of older condos in the city of Winnipeg? Or do you think they're appreciating? Is this gaining in value, or is it depreciating in value?
It really depends on within the condo complex who we have seen, and in particular type of unit too.
In the last cycle, the time adjustments in the city sales book were depreciating, were they not, on the condo values?
I don't recall.
Okay. I seem to recall that, but I guess I can't confirm it. Okay, that's fine. Now, comp 3, of course, that's the one that jumps out because it's it's $1 million sale. So you said there was an estate sale, right?
When it sold as an estate sale, back in August 2004 for $435,000.
2004.
2014, yes. 2014.
Oh, got it. Okay. Can you tell us about what gave rise to a sale north of $1 million in this building?
It was, I understand it due to its size, its prestige, and also this unit had been significantly renovated.
Right. Based on economies of scale, wouldn't you suspect that it would be, even if it's I would suggest it's very high rate per square foot, even if it's a larger unit. So there must be something. Was there anything included in this sale that you're aware of?
Not that I can.
Was it sold furnished?
Not that I know of.
Okay. That's fine. Those are my questions. Thanks.
Thank you. See if the panel has any questions. Ms. Ripple?
Yes, I'm wondering if there is any value associated with the building permit that was taken out on this property. I can't seem to perhaps find it on my copy.
Sometimes it's disclosed, sometimes it's not. I'm not too sure. I don't think we have the permit value for this one. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's it, thank you.
So with the three comps, we see quite a wide range of price per square foot. The comp 3, the sale price is quite significant, and you noted the other two are, you characterize them as dated and estate sales. To support the 2020 assessment, what calculation has been utilized?
To take in consideration, so we took a look at the overall condo complex and then narrow down, taking a look at similar suites within the condo complex and try to place it within a range. It's not exactly an exact science. We won't get it on the nose every single time, but it's, especially when you have such a large condo complex, there's such a variety of sales, and especially in this condo complex where there may be dated sales and renovated units.
I guess what I'm asking, and you've more or less answered it, but just to be clear, are these the three best comps based on your review? Because they seem slightly fragmented.
This is the best comps that I'm trying to illustrate, that it's difficult for me to assess it exactly, because it could be still a fairly dated unit, or it could be extensively renovated.
You made some reference, you made some reference to the fact of certain condos being above a certain level and others being below a certain level. Could you please clarify that point for me?
In some cases, the view of the condo is more desirable, or what makes it more appealing to a prospective condo buyer. And also sometimes the higher levels are the more superior units, especially in terms of its size and its layout and its and maybe its exclusivity.
So to that end, do all three comps have the same or similar view and elevation?
So comparable. So subject is actually on the top floor. The comparable 1 and 2 is on the 12th floor, and comparable 3 is on the top floor also. I'm not too sure where they are, where they face. I wasn't able to do that. But I think most likely they have similar views.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So nobody has been in from the assessment department, been in here since they took out those permits for renovations?
Yes.
And by having an effective age on there of 2004, that's affecting the value, the assessed value?
Yes.
That's all my questions. Mr. Story, if you'd like to.
Yeah, thanks, okay, so 160 Tuxedo, I will tell you I've not been in the unit myself. I have a bit of an issue with age variance in general. My understanding is that it's it's a judgment call. Somebody from the assessment department goes in and they say, okay, you put a drop ceiling in, and now we're going to extend the useful life or extend the effective age by 20 years. I don't necessarily think that's appropriate. So if you look at this actual permit, we're talking about light switches and fixtures. This is not what we call a full extensive reno. And when we compare that with the Comp 3 the assessor's using, I would suggest that if it sold for over $1 million, that would be an extensive reno. So again, that arbitrary extra 5 years, it's all a little too, that's a little too fast and loose for me. So I would suggest that the vintage of this building is 1984, and that be reflected in the suite. Now, there are 7 sales within the relevant period. I've included 6. This $1 million sale is too much of an outlier to consider. It would distort our table, so I've disregarded it. I've included the MLS for the other 6, and you can see, now something else that I'll point out, I tried to start a discussion here about the depressing value of older condos, and a big part of that is linked to the condo fees. So in this building, according to the MLS, you will see condo fees as high as $1,600 a month. I would suggest in Winnipeg that's very high, and that would limit the, first of all, you start with a buyer's pool or market, and then you say, well, it's an older building, and that limits things. And then you say, well, there's a high price per square foot. That further limits your market, and then you say, and by the way, the condo fees are between $1,100 and $1,600 a month, and then you end up with a very generally small buyer's pool. So, and that is an issue with condos that are built before the mandatory reserve funds and before the Condominium Act comes into play. So I will suggest that if we're seeing any depreciation in the value of condos in this market, the first place you look at are product built before, say, the year 2000, for example, and sort of underneath that. Okay, so based on the sales that I'm seeing, I've imputed a range that I think is appropriate. It captures the middle of this market at $175 to $200 per square foot, and that's based on, we're seeing, on my table, the highest sale we're seeing is $259 a square foot, and the lowest is $167 a square foot. I would say 175 to 200 a square foot is reasonable, and just to err on the side of caution, based on the fact that I've not been inside, I will accept the high end of this range. So I think $400,000 for this unit is reasonable. And yeah, I suppose that's my presentation. Oh, one small point of interest. I think almost all of these, if not most of them anyway, sold below their asking price. So I think that's an important distinction, except I should point out one did sell for $255, and it was originally listed at $250. So that's good, but that's a pretty good indicator. That's if everybody else was priced above what the market was willing to bear, and this seller was basically right on it. That's $159 a square foot. So and a larger unit, so economies of scale should come into play. So with all that taken into consideration, I'm of the opinion that $200 per square foot is fair for this assessment, giving us an indicated value of $400,000.
Okay.
Very much.
Thank you. Questions?
Can you provide me the units for all of your comparables, please?
Absolutely. Okay, Comp 1. I've got the MLS listings here too. Do you have my evidence? Oh, you got it. Okay, great. All right, so 199, that is unit number, where are we here? That is 401. Okay, Comp 2, that's the one for 255. And there's photos here too, so you can see that these are actually, I would say that these are done up they're prepped for sale. That's the other thing that's interesting. You've got to remember that when we're looking at sales, those are brought to market, whereas ours is being occupied by an owner. Okay, 403 is number 2. Comp 3 is 1202.
Comp 3 is 1202, not 1203?
Let's see here. 725. I'm sorry. That 449 is. Sorry, I just pulled these all together. Sorry, for a moment. Doesn't look like I have 725, sorry, or the one that sold for 725, so I don't know comp 3. Comp 4 that sold for 405 is... right, that was the one that was listed for 469, sold for 405, and that is 1202. Comp 5 sold for 245. And that is 703. And comp 6 is 265. This is a 275, and that's number 304. So I apologize, I don't have the MLS for the 725.
It looks suspiciously like 1203, called number 3.
The assessors?
Yeah.
Yes.
1202.
1203 is, the comparable 3 is 1203.
So it's 1203, okay.
They call it number
Oh, I
5
see.
is 1202.
Yeah.
Comp, you say comp 4. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
So we don't know the extent of the renovations of the subject property, or the condition. But most of these units that you have provided, are they more original?
Well, we can look through them if you'd like. Now, what we do know is that in terms of permitted work, you pulled the permit, so I would assume if there's any other permits, you would have been able to draw them at the same time. So what we can see is that there's been some they've done something to the ceiling and then they've added some light fixtures. That's what we're aware of, right?
Just also make you aware of that sometimes homeowners don't pull permits for renovations such as,
Right, but we're asking about the
unless they're pulling a structural, wall, plumbing,
Right.
or electrical. So
Right.
I'm just saying,
That's a great point, because when we're talking about age variance, it shouldn't be based on decorating. It should be based on doing something to the systems, right?
again,
Which would
like I
likely be
said,
permitted.
we were trying to, unfortunately, we're speculating
Yeah,
what the condition of this
absolutely.
property may or may not
Yeah.
be.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, we're all aware of that. Now, we're looking at,
What would you like to know? The extent of the renovations of the properties? There's photos all through here if you'd like.
Okay, so you would agree that they're mostly original to what they were built,
no,
1984, or?
I would not agree with that. Clearly, the first comp is not original to 1984. They clearly put in hardwoods throughout. That balcony appears to be done up. The entrance appears to be done up, and I would suggest that what appears to be the common area or lobby of this building is not original to its vintage. And yes, I think that there's a range to be certain. And we don't know where ours falls on the range. Now, the second comp, that bathroom appears to be redone. I would suggest that it's a benefit to have a glassed-in balcony, to be certain. But I do see looks like new flooring in the kitchens, looks like some older finishings in the main living areas. Okay, we go to the third one. Appears to be a pretty bare unit, hard to tell. That's a bathtub, would not be original to the property.
I don't think that most of these units have not had some alteration since 1984. 1984 was a pretty long time ago.
You can see the kitchens are down on the next comp. So, and then the last comp has some, well, hard to see what's going on here. That looks to be, well, the kitchens are certainly done. Furniture looks a bit older, but I can't speak to the quality of the
Finishes, but certainly there's a range, and I'm aware of that. So,
And all the units, do you have any other sales of units that are on higher floors?
these are all the sales that there were 7 sales in the MLS within the relevant period. So this is what we have. I don't know that on the 12th or 13th floor. I know that for some people it's actually, if you have an older building with older elevator. I don't know that they have older elevators, but I know that being an older building sometimes you don't necessarily want to be higher up. I don't know what the views are. I don't know that the higher units in the building that are not in the penthouse or for some special unit would necessarily command a higher value. The values in the building, not necessarily the
Even though 1203 and 1202 still sold over 400,000?
It sold for over 400,000. Yeah, and the 402. Sorry, what is your question? You're saying that because they're on the 12th floor, they sold for more? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that would be speculation. I don't think that's true.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Gisela, questions?
Yes, you indicated you had not been in this condo.
I have not.
Do you have any pictures of this condo?
Of the subject?
Yes.
No, I do not.
Can you tell me, I note that this condo was built in 1984.
That's correct.
And there was this building permit that was taken out by the owner who currently owns subject property in 2008.
That's correct.
Would you think that maybe there had been some renovations between 1984 and 2008?
Sure. Yeah, I think that every unit in here is I think you'd be hard pressed to find a unit that was true to 1984 in this building. I think that there's been, but some people, some people do more extensive renovations than others. Again, I can't speak to the level of renovations, but one thing one little clue is that if there was structural work, there would likely be permits. And in terms of permits, all we're seeing is lighting, drop ceiling and lighting. So I don't know.
Are you aware if there are any other permits between 1984 and 2008?
No, I didn't pull any permits for this property, but I'm noting that the assessor did, and had there been other permits, that they would have come up, I would imagine, in the permit search. So.
Do you know if there have been any previous appeals on this property?
I'm not sure.
Do you know what the 2018 assessment
No, I
was?
do not.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nash?
I find it interesting that we have wonderful pictures of the comps and have no pictures of the subject.
It would be much more illustrative if we
It'd be very helpful,
100%, I agree.
for sure.
Yeah.
I guess if you could perhaps speak to a line of questioning that I had asked the assessor earlier, and that is the position of the subject property in the building and what value that might attribute to the property, particularly in comparison to your comps 1, 2, 5, and 6, presumably floor 4, 4, 3, and 7.
Yes.
Relative to subject property.
To be fair, I also do not know the exact orientation, but I will suggest, and I was by there just to do an exterior 2 days ago. I don't know that the orientation or the direction that you're facing would make the same material difference that we might have seen in the first property. So we're not. This is Tuxedo. We're close to the Safeway. We're not on the water. So I would suggest that it's probably a matter of preference for a buyer. I don't know that any specific orientation this building would drive for impede value.
More specifically, can you speak to value differences in elevation?
Again, no, I can't. It's reasonable to think that perhaps being higher up would drive value, but that's not what we're seeing here. We're seeing 1202 and 1203, both 12-floor condos. There's a wide gap there, so I would suggest that it's typically you think that being higher up would have a more panoramic view, would drive more value, but apparently the market is not indicating that. So I think the value is mostly in the building and the location. I don't know that orientation or elevation plays a substantive role from what I can tell.
No other questions.
Thank you. Do you know the condo fees on this unit?
On this unit? No, I don't. But I would imagine that they're low in the range of
the condo fees, say on the comp 3 or 4? Well, let's see which one is the same size.
If we go by the same size,
we're comp number 4. Do you know the condo fees in comp number 4?
Yeah, advertised. Now this is, keep in mind, this is at 17.
condo fees here, $16.92.
Again, typically with older buildings with higher furnishings, degrees of finish, that tends to be sort of the issue. When you have an older building, you have to maintain that reserve fee. And you've got things like arcades and elevators, and those are very costly to maintain, and those costs tend to increase over time. They don't tend to decrease. So.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Summation?
I do believe that the subject property, the 2020 assessment at 512,000 is well supported. Given that we were unable to verify unfortunately we're unable to verify the condition of the property, but given it's within range, it's above. It probably is more than a dated sale compared to comparable one and comparable two that I provided. And given that it is probably more of an elite suite that is on the 15th floor of a 15-story building, that I believe that our assessment at $512,000 is quite fair.
Thank you. Story, anything to?
Well, I thank you for listening to our position here. And I guess in summation, what I want to point out is that we've got an older building here. We've got extremely high condo fees. We don't see a huge market appetite for assets of this vintage. And when you look at the sales that we have, when you get rid of your outliers, 5 of our 7 sales are under $205 a square foot. So I would say that the range we've imputed here at 175 to 200 is reasonable and does support a $400,000 assessment of this asset.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I believe we have one more to look into here.
Yes. I have to leave to save time.
All right, have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Victoria.
Oh, okay.
We'll take a short recess. Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order, and we will deal with item number 3 on the docket, 216 Melrose Avenue. If you could run us through the property a little bit, please.
Okay, so the parcel ID is 0901047324. Street address is 216 Melrose Avenue, Unit 206. This is part of a 4-story apartment condo. It's built in 2014. Total living area is 993 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, air conditioning, and it has a balcony. The 2020 assessment we're asking, the 2020 assessment is $234,000. There was a purchase back in 2015 for $249,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any contact with the...
No, there was no contact.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes the hearing. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.